Hello, romance readers. If you're looking for your next read and feel inspired by some of the books we've covered on Too Stupid to Live, be sure to check out TSTL's very own storefront on bookshop.org. Here, you will find a collection of books that the show has covered, as well as personal recommendations from me, Becky Feldman, the host of TSTL, who is talking to you right now. So rest assured, you don't need to worry about remembering titles or author names or having to go back into the episode catalog. Just head to bookshop.org/shop/TSTL podcast to view a collection of the books that the show has covered. That's bookshop.org/shop/TSTL podcast. Happy reading.
This message is sponsored by Greenlight. With school out, summer is the perfect time to teach our kids real-world money skills they'll use forever. Greenlight is a debit card and the #1 family finance and safety app used by millions of families, helping kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely. Parents can send their kids money and track their spending and saving, while kids build money confidence and skills in fun ways. Start your risk-free Greenlight trial today at greenlight.com/Spotify. That's greenlight.com/Spotify.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Too Stupid to Live, a podcast that reviews romance novels $5 and under. I'm your host, Becky Feldman, and if you're thinking, wow, Becky sounds like she is burning up right now, let me tell you, I am. And it's not just because I just returned back from a Caribbean getaway, and it's also not just because of the subsequent sunburns I received on the Caribbean getaway. No, my temperature is flaring because it is another Hot as Hell with TSTL episode. Hot as Hell with TSTL episodes are special episodes of this podcast, if you can believe it, where I chat with your favorite and or soon-to-be favorite authors about their newest releases. But before I tell you about today's special guest, let me remind you that TSTL is now on Substack. So if you want to watch video recordings of podcast episodes, get bonus content, and subscribe to my fictional comedy podcast, Claimed by TBD, join me on Substack at tstlpodcast.substack.com. So, on to today's Hot as Hell with TSTL episode. We are shining a light on Blair M. Shadows, author of the new fantasy romance series Crystal Iris. I had so much fun reading this book, and I really enjoyed chatting with Blair in this episode. So I think you're going to get a lot out of listening to her journey of her finally just gathering the courage to write this idea for a book that's been like brewing in her brain for years. It is truly inspiring. So I hope you have a nice tall drink of water by your side, a sexy one or a literal one. You know what I mean. I don't know what I mean. But anyway, the heat index is about to rise in here. Please enjoy this episode where Blair M. Shadows gets hot as hell with TSTL. Hello, Blair Shadows. Welcome to Hot as Hell with TSTL.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited too. I'm so happy to be here. This is the first Hot as Hell of 2025. So congratulations, you're the first author. First of all, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Yeah, I just had a bit of a crazy week with, a kid at home, but he's finally back at school. So I'm finally thinking again.
Right. So you're finally back to like being a human being.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds good. So you have a book out called Crystal Iris, which is very exciting. I just finished reading it. But before we get to talking about that, why don't you tell me about how you got started writing and reading romance?
Yes. Good question. So I was the kind of kid that really, was very awkward and not in the sense of like, oh, you're not popular or anything like that, but I just liked weird stuff.
Yeah.
That, it wasn't very common in school. Like I was very into like reading like about witches and not like fictional, but like the actual like Wiccans and all that. It was very something that I always thought was so interesting and it felt very like rebellious to read that stuff, like my mom probably wouldn't approve if she knew and that kind of thing. So I think that kind of idea of reading things that I probably shouldn't be reading really pulled me in to be a reader as a teenager. And through that, I found so many probably inappropriate books for, my age then that would bring some sort of like romance to it. So I think that's how I kind of got hooked. But to really start writing has been a really long process of acceptance that that's what I wanted to do. Even though I always, in the back of my head, I knew it was a thing that I really fought myself about, trying to convince myself of like, who do you think you are to be a writer? Writers make no money. What do you think you're, like that's a waste of time. I've always been pushed that desire away. And I think in a way that almost made the monster grow.
Yeah. Because the more you can't do something, the more you want to.
Right. And I think in a way that was just getting to become very uncomfortable with that feeling until last year I told my husband, like, because I've been writing the same story for like 10 years, but like bits and pieces, and I put it away, just like stop doing this, And then last year I told him, I'm like, I think if I don't do this, I'm literally going to go crazy. I don't think I can hold this any longer, So I told him, like, I know it's going to take a lot of time and, our life's probably going to go, a little bit crazy because I have to somehow fit that in. But if I don't do it now, it's just, I don't know how I'm going to be able to handle this thing in my head. And it was merely just, let me get this out of my head and be done with it kind of way. And my husband was really the one that kept insisting on reading the pages as I was writing. And then I kept asking, like, should I keep? And he just like, you have to keep going, even if it's just for me,
Right.
So if it wasn't, I think, for that push, who knows if I even would have finished the book, because I never intended to ever publish it, to be honest. It was just very much like, let's get this out and done with it, and move on.
And what's so fascinating is that I'm assuming this is it's a multi-book series. So not only is it one book, do you plan on having it be 2, 3? How long is the series are you anticipating?
Yeah, so I would love to have already all that planned out and figure it out, but I really don't. I do want to tell the story completely. So it's very long in my head, and I'm really having to pace myself as I'm writing, so to not just like dump the whole book in one chapter,
Right.
Because I do have it, so much of it already in my head, but I'm guessing that it will take probably 4 books at least to get it all. And
Wow.
It grows. Like I said, the monster is just growing. Now I have like, when I finished book 1, I'm just like, thought I was going to have this relief. And it was the opposite. And now I have like a prequel idea, and then it just grows, and I'm like, I can't do like what did I do?
It's like a virus or like a hydra or something. Like you cut one head off or something. I don't know what that phrase is, but you probably know better than me. But yeah.
It's literally feels like I awoken, the beast, and now I'm just having to like let it take over.
Talk to me about like the feeling that you felt when, like, okay, you for so long were putting off writing this, you finally decide to write it, you finally finish it and are publishing it. Like, that must have been so celebratory and triumphant for you.
It was, but at the same time, it came almost in a sad way, because in my head it was just like, I loved writing it so much. And when I finally finished, my head the whole time, I couldn't help but to wonder, like, why did I wait this long? Or what would have happened if I've done this, 10 years ago, where my career could be like, in that kind of, I couldn't help but to like be so mad at myself for, holding back. But I do believe that I couldn't have written the book I did 10 years ago when I started. I'm a whole different person. So I think it happened that way, in a way for a reason.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I feel like just with kind of what the character goes through and kind of the understanding and like kind of having the perspective, sometimes you need to like live your life in order for something creative to like turn out a specific way. So I'm like, oh, this is the right time.
Right. I think you can't help as a writer to put so much of what you've learned in the story. So I definitely needed the experience that I had to write the character, at least at this point. So in a way, it was good.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so funny that like you mentioned pacing, because I feel like pacing is such a big thing in this book. It is a slow burn romance in the most the definition of slow burn. For many reasons. Not only is the character herself in a different relationship, but like you have two characters who physically cannot touch each other, and it is like the slowest of slow burns, which I love. Give me a slow burn. I have the time. I need it. I love it. But this is all to say, before we get into that, this idea obviously has been kind of brewing inside of you for such a long time. Tell me how you came up with the idea itself.
Yeah. So I've always, like I said, I've always been such a fan of that kind of like mystical world, but I grew up very much into like Harry Potter fan too. Like it came out just when I was turning same age as Harry. So I kind of say like to joke that I grew up
your
with
story.
Harry. Exactly.
Yeah.
I
You
kept
went
waiting
to
for my letter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sure. I'm still waiting. Yeah.
Exactly. So I really every time I would come up with this like stop me, if I wrote a book, like what would the book be like? And I never wanted the magic to be something you're born with. Because again, I really think I was traumatized that my letter didn't come.
Aww.
And I was just like, I don't want the people reading the story to think, this is only for those who were lucky enough to be born into this world. It's not fair. In my head, when I was reading, I'm joking about Harry Potter because obviously everybody listening will know. But what if Harry had a brother and he didn't have the magic in him or something like that? How would he feel? You know what I mean?
Yes,
and I was that person always reading the stories. So many of those books about fantasies, the lucky ones. And that really bothered me because, like I'm not a lucky one and I want a chance on this. So I really always were coming back to like, if I'm going to write anything with magic, the people will acquire the magic a different way. Like they're not going to be, obviously there is some sort of luck playing in however they find it, but they're not going to be something that either you have or you don't. And there's a way to get it and a way to find it if if there is that possibility in the world.
Right.
So
right.
that's somehow turning to, like if that's the case, then they have to find something that gives them that. And that turned into the whole idea of the prisms and, them being things that I really like tried as best as I could to make it as believable as possible that this is a possibility out there in the world.
Yeah. Totally. It's so funny you say that because I feel like that's something that I've been kind of noticing lately, not noticing lately, but just always kind of have like, I don't know, pinpointed lately about like, sometimes with a lot of romantasy, it's always about the chosen one, the someone who is inherently born with this, born with that. And so sometimes like when I have like read those books or see those stories in movies, like lately my brain has been like, well, what about their neighbor that they just say hi to once? Like what's their story? And so it feels like that's what this is.
Right. And I'm again, like I've always been the weird one. Like every time I would read a story or watch a movie, I would always like the characters that were not meant to be the main characters or like the good ones or, and I always want like, what about like, how would that person feel like with Harry Potter? Like what's Hermione's family are thinking, or they know about. Like I'm always more curious about that. I think maybe the other stories have been told so many times that I'm now curious to like go to like the ones that haven't been,
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it's so great. So let's talk about the protagonist, Iris. Like, how is she modeled after someone? Like, who inspired her character? How did you come up with her character?
Yeah.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Nobody specifically, but my grandmother was an art history professor.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up hearing about art history my whole life, and she was very much present in my life when I was growing up. She always took me to the lessons with her and that kind of thing. So I'm guessing the art world was meant to be part of me no matter what.
Right.
And then I ended up going, when I had to choose a major for school, I really, was always, because of that, I've always been very creative. I was terrified of making a choice of anything related to art, because in my head was like, you're going to make no money. You're not going to make a living out of this. And that's why I think it pushed me away from writing. And I really looked for some sort of commercial way of making a living with art. And that's why I went actually into film. That's my background. And I think, and in the back of my head, as I'm working in the film industry, it always was in the back of my head saying, like, you don't want to be working for a story that already exists. You want to be the one making the story, And I think that's why I started coming up with this idea in my head without even trying to.
Mm-hmm.
And when I had to tell a story from a perspective of somebody, of a character, it was pretty much, if I'm not me, who would I like to be, kind of thing. And as much as now Iris is very much her own person, making a lot of stupid decisions that I myself will never make.
Sure.
And she said goodbye and just went on and lived her own life. It started as, if I'm going to have, another personality, who I would like to have, and that kind of thing. And that's how she was firstly brought up to life.
I love that. I feel like the things that you're mentioning, it's like when I like fantasize or like kind of daydream or something, it's always like, oh, what would my personality be like if I didn't have another personality? And like, oh, what, why didn't I get my Harry Potter letter? Like I'm like, I hear you. Yeah. I feel like those thoughts are like so like universal.
I think, I think being a millennial, I think, remember like those magazines always come with this questionnaire about like, if you're going to do this, and then you had to like fill it out and stuff like that. I think I did so much of like, what would I do? What would be my superpower? What would, and I think when I'm writing, I can't help it but to like, oh, I get to choose now. And I get to actually like say the answers, even if they're not me at all, to have fun with it,
Absolutely. Like there's something like, okay, you're like kind of fulfilling some sort of dream within the character that like obviously we cannot fulfill in the real world. One of the many things being magic.
Right. And like I said, it started that way, and then it took a turn, but that's definitely how it started.
Yeah. So the main character of Iris is an art historian, and you mentioned that like your grandmother was in art history. Art history plays like a major kind of symbolic role in the story. Like every chapter opens with a quote from a famous artist. We have a lot of like scenes where she's lecturing and bringing up specific pieces of artwork. And I would have to like stop and then like look it up and then like,
really?
because I'm so curious. So I guess my question is like, how did you decide like what pieces and what type of, and which artist references made it in and which didn't? Were there any like ones that you thought that, oh, this doesn't really fit, but this one does?
So in college, even though I wasn't doing anything with it, I couldn't help myself, and I ended up minoring in art history because it was something that I was very interested in. So a lot of the pieces that I brought in the story were already favorites of mine that I already had it in the back of my head. And then some other ones through just research, I was like, oh, this one is talking about something that it's already kind of in the story. So this will be a good one to bring it in this kind of chapter and things like that. And a lot of it just happened. It's so weird, but like naturally, I don't know how to explain. It's like I will be thinking about a scene, and then I will open a book on a page, and there will be like an explanation of something. I'm like, oh my God, this is perfect for this scene. What are the chances, A lot happened that way. But the majority of the pieces in it are very well known. So I kind of already remembered a lot of those from just being a history nerd.
Right, totally. Yeah. Do you think that like kind of what you learned in like your, in your art history minor and just like your love of art history, like did anything you learned through that process like impact your process in becoming a writer? I guess I'm asking like, are you Da Vinci? But like not that, but.
So I've done my own actually. I did a lot of watercolor for in the past few years, but I think because since growing up, I was always reading this like weird, almost like in my head, I'm like reading all prohibited books, okay? Books that should not be allowed to read. They probably weren't, obviously, because, somehow I found them, but they had this like idea almost to me that they were secrets and nobody knew about them. And that's for some reason how I always saw our history. I'm like, I know everybody knows about those paintings, but do people really know where they come from and what's the story behind them? And so many of them have such dark backgrounds and ideas and stories behind who the character or who the person in the painting is, especially if you're looking at really older pieces of art. So when I'm researching that, I'm almost feeling the same thing. I'm like, I'm reading something that it's a secret. And I'm like the only one who actually knows about this. So it was really fun to like bring that together with magic, because to me, they're in a way it's like magic in our real world. This is what we have as, of people of, normal life. This is the closest to magic as we can possibly get, is this little mysteries of things that we know so little about. And I think that was fun to like put together in a way to like, and somehow as I'm researching, more and more keeps coming up of like I'm almost forgetting that that's actually not real, because all these history books talk about certain things of like, big spoiler for book 2, but I'm just going to say it, secret societies and that kind of stuff. So it's the whole idea of together somehow in my head at least worked.
Right, totally. It's so funny that like you mentioned secrets and stuff, because I'm going back to the character of Iris. It seems like she holds a lot of secrets in, namely being we open the book and she's engaged, and she on paper this relationship is perfect and it's her childhood best friend. It is like the story of like that in itself is like a romance, but she ends up falling for someone else like while she's still in a committed relationship, which I think in the romance world can sometimes be so tricky, but you went for it, and and I feel like her emotions were the biggest secret of them all, even though there was like magic and prisms and stuff like that.
Right. I'm always curious about the stories that are being told. It's not that I don't enjoy them, but to me it was trying to get, to the point as a reader that all relationships were so in a way meant to be, and so obvious from the beginning, even when they are enemies, it's so obvious, right? It's we all know. So I wanted to put her very close to a human being of like, it's not always that obvious. And obviously a lot of people have many boyfriends and girlfriends throughout their life before they commit to actually getting married. But since Iris knew her boyfriend since so young, it wasn't like she dated a bunch of people and just like compared and figured out this is the one. She kind of found herself in that relationship so young, and it wasn't that she wasn't clear about how she felt about him, but I think there was so much from her upbringing of not having her family around and so much attachment to him that I think she had to go through kind of like a big shock to pull her out of it, because she probably wouldn't have noticed that herself just by thinking about, do I love him or do I not love him? Because in a way she did love him. It's just there are different types of love. And I was, very curious on exploring a start of a relationship that isn't so black and white.
Right. Yeah. Which I absolutely loved, because I think it kind of makes her just, I don't know, more human, just seeing like kind of like getting herself involved, like just the stakes of just texting another guy and how it seems so like, whatever, but it's so big for her and she has this guilt and you kind of like really feel it.
Yeah. And I think I also really wanted to play with the idea of like, what if you do ever make a mistake? How do you come out on the other side? I think, at least when I'm reading, I want to be put in someone else's shoe. I want to escape a little bit of my own reality. And a lot of times reading, characters with real flaws, not just like cute flaws of like, oh, she's so sensitive and she, she gets hurt so easily because there's so many of those.
Lip.
Right. It's like, okay, that's not a flaw that you're making that actually looks super cute. Exactly. Right. Oh, she's I'm like, I'm so tired of those stories sometimes.
No, I totally get it.
I have real flaws. Okay. Can like one of them have like, I don't know, like sweat profusely, but it doesn't make it cute at all. People have real flaws. And I know from being a reader and hearing so many of feedback from other readers, people hate I'm just going to say too, people hate the whole idea of cheating. It's like major, like, don't put that in a book. And I really, especially obviously when it's the guy, but I really wanted to play with like, okay, but what if somehow you find yourself in a situation and you make a mistake, and then what? Like, this is it? Like you're, like life's not over. You got to somehow move on. And I think I really love stories about second chances and people having to like really figure out who they are and how do they come back from things that they regret and things like that. And that kind of happened also by itself.
Yeah, totally. Because it is like a lot about like, okay, how you are kind of seeing like, okay, she messed everything up. And not even in like I mean, again, like it's more of an emotional, it is an emotional affair. It's not necessarily like a physical affair. And I know like people are
very specific about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, well, what does that mean? Like, come on, and it's like, what, who knows? So, but it was just like, just interesting to kind of see her like this as a character pick up the pieces of her life and how it kind of like making things right and how it kind of shows her character.
Right. And I think, from a lot of reviews that I'm getting out, I think people are getting it, but it's not like she's also just like, I don't care about what I'm doing. I have no problem hurting people and being shady and doing all this stuff. She has a big reason to being pulled by someone else because she's curious about, it's a major thing. Imagine if you were the only other person that you know of would have also knowledge on that magic. You have to like somehow at least talk to that person.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think you could feel, or at least I try to make people feel that she's very much aware that she's not doing something right.
Right.
And she's not just like someone that just like, this is part of me and I don't care what people think,
Right. Yeah. Like she's not like dumb. You know what I mean? Like it's like you're like a normal human. Like people aren't as dumb as like maybe we think they are.
Right. And she, she has a lot of guilt from what she's doing too. And
Right.
I think that that just makes the new relationship, I think, even stronger. Because it really
Absolutely.
has to be worth it, to go there.
And it absolutely is. And so I do want to talk about Hoyt because he's like the main male romantic lead. Tell me about his character, how you came up with his character, who you were envisioning, everything.
Yeah. I think also a huge part of at least who I am, it's always been, I love both the city and the country. I've always been that person. I want to be able to go to a nice restaurant and, to a fancy party at the city, but I also want to be, laying on the grass, like completely, go take a dab at a waterfall or whatever. Like I really love both sides. So I wanted the story to have both of sides in it. And the easiest way to do it was to bring the other boyfriend to be, from that world. And it was so fun because it's at the same time, it's so new to Iris, the whole part of life, and having him introduce that to her and show her that there was so much more to actually life than she ever even thought, I think, possible. Because especially if you grew up in a city, I think more city than country, but so many people that always just been in their city almost forget that there is, the rest of the world out there,
Yeah.
I've heard so many people, I lived in New York before, and so many people from there just never even would leave the city. I'm like, you guys, New York is not everything,
Right. Yeah. I think there's like this maybe a notion of, because it's so funny, this takes place in Boston, and I went to school in Boston, and there is this notion that like the entire world's here. You really don't need to leave Boston. You have art, you have food, you have everything, sports, everything you ever want and need. Like a city is kind of the nexus of culture. And then it's just like, oh, you haven't been outside of like a 5-mile radius in like 17 years.
Exactly. And I think Iris was very much, that character until she's like, oh, there is another side of me that I didn't even know that I enjoy this. And I think Hoyt pulling her into his world and showing her a little bit of that, I think helps her so much with her actual anxiety and things like that she's dealing with, because, that's what naturally what nature does to people. It's just, it brings that to you. And I think she kind of needed that to balance it out. Everything else from the city. So
it felt like Hoyt as a character was so just taking in different types of like romance archetypes. Like he, I'm saying billionaire. I obviously don't know how much money he has. He's rich, but he's like, you have
everybody's calling him billionaire. I'm like, let's go with it.
Sure. Yeah. Like what is even a billionaire, and who knows, but he is like kind of archetypically, if that's a word, he's a billionaire. Yeah. So there's a level of cowboy within him, there is like a kind of like, he's a chosen one in a way, it feels like there were, you were kind of combining a lot of different kind of narratives to create his character.
Yeah. So, very honest here. As I'm writing this story, like I said, I had no actual plans of publishing it at first. So I never done any research on the publishing side of the book.
Sure. Yeah.
So after I wrote it, then I realized I'm like, oh, there's something called tropes. Because I'm also very much like, I love to read, but I read stuff that it's like so outdated, probably like books from the 90s and 80s. And that was so different.
Right.
But now there's this whole thing of tropes and themes. And I'm like, I had to go back into the book to pull what actually I could pull to market the book that way.
Right.
So I never set out to like, oh, these are popular things that people are liking. Let's add a billionaire. Let's add a cowboy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He just happened to be who he was for
the
sake of this story. But now that I'm seeing, people reviewing things, I'm like, oh, I guess he is a lot of things that people are, they normally enjoy book boyfriends nowadays, which is great. It worked. But I honestly didn't set out to do it that way, which if I did, I feel like I would have probably, maybe changed a few things just because I had to he doesn't fit perfectly in any specific category. He's not grumpy enough, apparently.
Right. Yeah. Not grumpy enough, not abrasive. Yeah. But I love that because it's like, okay, I feel like sometimes there's this critique of like, okay, if you start with the archetype, the character doesn't feel organic versus okay, coming up with an organic character who can like, oh yeah, in the Venn diagram of archetypes can stick his toe in any one of those circles.
Right. And I think we've all read enough of those stories. I think we're ready to move on a little bit from, the same monster who is not a monster.
Right.
Kind
of course.
Character. At least I have read enough of those. We've been reading those and watching those since, we were all little watching princess movies. So I'm ready to, not that I didn't enjoy any of those, but I think with Hoy, I really wanted him to be more real and not so much, good, bad guy kind of thing. And just, he has his own dark past that he has to somehow move on, but he didn't come from, like, he didn't choose to have the money that he has, and now he has all the situation given to him, and he just has to make the best of it.
Yeah. So about the like kind of romance part, they don't get together until, or like, they have all of these kind of obstacles, both emotional and literally, and that's kind of like keeping them together. Tell me about what it was like to kind of, plan out the pacing of like, okay, when can they touch? When do they kiss? When do they hook up for the first time?
Yeah. So again, from somebody that just wrote a debut story, I didn't come with this with any experience. So I did not have a specific plan with like, they got a kiss on the middle of the book. Right. And then by the end of the book, they need to do, it wasn't like that. But I obviously didn't want everything to be given right away because I wanted them to, by the time that they reach that point, not just like be crazy for each other, but I wanted them to be ready emotionally.
Yeah.
For that part, especially Iris. She had to go through so much from breaking up. I wanted her to be fully mentally available when that point reached. So all the moments that they end up being able to touch each other because, they find a way, it teaches her something in that, or you awaken something else in her that she has to learn and deal with it. And that growing and that throughout the story, I think, pretty much went with her as she's able to like, okay, I'm feeling more confident now, when it's time for me to do this and that. I think you believe that she's doing it. So I don't know how much spoiling I can give.
Oh my God, totally. Yeah. And I was like thinking just now, like, oh yeah, if she said anything, it would be a really big spoiler. Maybe we shouldn't. but it's just,
I'm not going to give it too much, but I just want like whoever, so it's just like by the time she's doing what she's doing, you believe she will be doing it. And if she had done that in the beginning, you would be like, what? It would not come out like, who does that? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. But it's just so funny because like I feel like there were so many moments in the book where like they'll say something to each other, or there'll be a text exchange that'll be like, oh wow, that's like racy and that's like saucy, and then like you realize, oh my God, they've never even touched. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh okay, you kind of see like the emotional kind of trajectory like way faster than the literal physical.
Right. I think again, having that obstacle between them obviously was fun to like add to the story, but it was also in a way like they have more than that physical obstacle to get through anyway. So perhaps if they could touch each other right away, they wouldn't be able to actually go through the other ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's hard to explain without giving people any extra. People are just probably just listening, just like they're not talking about anything that I know if they haven't read the book.
Absolutely. Yeah, no. But now they're like, oh, we got to go buy the book and pick it up because I can't touch, but they're really horny. Come on.
It's like you need people to actually like come back and listen to it after they read it so they can actually understand what we're talking about.
Yeah, like put like the two pieces
pause
together.
this, go listen, go read the book, and then come back and listen.
Totally. And then we'll get the spoilers. Because it's so funny, like when I review books, when I do a regular book review with friends, it's like, well, spoil, we read the book, we're reviewing the whole thing. Like people don't want to listen, they don't have, whatever. But like, yeah, with this, I'm just like, oh yeah, don't reveal too much.
I know that's been really hard actually with the whole talking about the book in general on social media and everything. I'm like, I don't know how much I should talk about because, to me, everything is spoiling. Like chapter 2 you're spoiling already if I say something in chapter 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you have to give something. So it's just such a weird balance to figure it out.
With like marketing the book, like what are some things that you've been learning about like kind of the process of like post writing a book, I guess, and like what it's like now to kind of be putting your name out there and promoting yourself?
Yeah. I thought writing the book was going to be the hard part. I just say.
Right, sure. Yeah.
Again, I was very, I even put that in the acknowledgments of the book. Like, I'm really grateful to the inner child in me that was so naively like pushing me to do this. Because if I had researched the process of marketing the book and publishing the book before I wrote the book, I don't think I would have had the courage to do it because it's so hard. It's so hard. It's like its own career, its own side full-time job.
Yeah.
And I'm very much so new to it. So I'm still figuring everything out. And again, not coming from this as I'm reading 10 books. I'm going to write something similar and I'm going to market similarly. I didn't have a specific path to follow to just like, check things off and just go, and just pretty much like, oh, I wrote this book. I'm like, had so little information on what to do. You won't even believe this, but I didn't even know what an ARC reader was.
Right. Yeah.
So I published the book and then I'm like, oh, can I now do the ARC readers? The book is already published.
Yeah.
Because I literally just went into it like, have no idea like why am I even hitting the button publish. I just really wanted, at that point the story was written. I just needed people to know the story. It wasn't like, oh, what's the path to make this into a career or anything like that. But then the more people found the book and the more like positive things are coming from, I'm like, okay, this is worth looking into. This is worth putting effort into. But it's pretty much just being like, what do I do now? What do I do now? And I didn't even look, like, I'm going to say this because I don't really care. People are always going to know, but I didn't even look for a publisher to try to get the book published. If any publishers are out there want to come to me, I'm open. Because I didn't even go through that path because it wasn't really, it just didn't seem like to make any sense. Like in my head, it was just like, it's just a book I wrote. You know what I mean? And now that it's turning to what it is, a little bit more of a, okay, I'm actually doing this. I'm writing this series and let's see what happens next. I'm having to shift gears a little bit to more like, okay, this is almost like its own business. Having to like,
absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm just, figuring out how to do this. And luckily a lot of the readers are helping me with like, when they read it, they post about it or anything like that. So that helps get the word out there because, I had no following. I had nothing set up for this. I didn't even have an Instagram until I published the book and I'm like, oh, this is people say I should have an Instagram account. And I'm finding out like, oh, there's a whole community called Bookstagram, a book. Like I was that person that had no like clue. I just read it to read it because I've always read books. You know what I mean? It was never like, how do I get into this industry? So now that I'm learning all this stuff, it's definitely overwhelming.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I definitely have felt that even with like podcasting and in the romance book world of like, oh, even just like putting yourself out there and going online and just you know, I mean, obviously for me, this was like 10 years ago, but like of just seeing like, oh, I didn't know what this means. Like, I didn't know what like TSTL means, you know, now it's the name of my podcast, but like, you know, like there were all these like acronyms that I didn't know. And like, it's like so easy to kind of like go into like, oh, am I a fraud? Am I not a reader?
Right.
Like, but it's like, but I'm holding a book right now and I'm looking at the words and I'm comprehending them, but I don't know what this acronym means. Like, I should just leave. You know?
I know. The whole time I'm like, but wait, I've been reading my whole life. How do I not know what a book boyfriend is?
Right.
You know what? You mean just a boyfriend in the book? Like, okay, I can obviously know that part, you know?
Totally. Yeah. And it's just like, I sometimes have to remind myself that's like, okay, the indie publishing and like romance publishing is so big that like, oh, the audience must be so big that there has to be readers like me who may not know, like, who may not be online all the time or like may not, you know this and know that, just because like if I'm out there, other people have to be out there who like, are like reading books, but maybe not being as active in a community about it, which is fine, you know.
And I think this communities, especially the social media, it has to be fairly new. So it's not like we're that, you know,
right. Yeah.
That outside of, you know, the norm. I'm like, I've probably read a lot of those popular books, but I just, from not being on those channels, I guess I just didn't realize how much they were or how they were talked about. And
totally. Yeah.
It's just something that obviously I have to now figure it out because it's just part of that business side of it. I wish, you know, there was just somebody I could hire and just, hey, do it all. But from what I've been now finding out, even if you are traditionally published, you're still doing all that legwork anyway. So I can't really, you know, ignore
we all
it.
need personal assistants. Like, I just feel like I just need a personal assistant to like just remind me to like pay my bill, you know, like just we need it.
I know, like with all this new technology, and I feel like we're still doing everything.
I know. It was such a hustle. Like, it just feels like we're all hustling so hard. And yeah.
Still definitely in the middle of it.
But it's at the same time, it's also like really exciting, and just hearing like kind of your perspective on everything, like it kind of is reminding people, like I think when people consider taking a creative venture and they see what's out there and they see how overwhelming it is like kind of like, oh, maybe I shouldn't, maybe this isn't me, but you did it anyway. And I think that's so inspiring to so many people who are questioning whether they should, follow that pursuit.
Right. And honestly, like if I can convince anyone listening to like just do it, there's nothing to compare to that feeling of like you did it, you know, even if nothing comes from it. It's just it literally felt like, as I'm writing the story, like it's magic. Like it's as close to, like I can't ask for anything to bring me more joy, you know. And I think if you do have something like that and you hold yourself from doing that, it's just there's no way that you're going to find something else to substitute that, you know. It's like you just go for it. And you know, I wish I did, like I said 10 years ago. I mean, I don't think I had it in me to go for it, but I hope, you know, if I have to teach my kid that, it's just like, you know, I know it's not a straightforward path, and obviously we all may need day jobs still, but if you have that in your life, it's such a happier life.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's so beautiful.
I don't mean to be so like emotional about it.
Like, yeah,
but
this
was
true.
Like really was something that I've probably since a little girl dreamed with, and I just helped myself from having that, you know. It's just
it's huge. It's huge. And I think like a lot of people, like, you know, just who were imaginative growing up and like would dream about this and dream about that and be like, oh, one day, or it's not going to happen. And just like seeing you in the midst of that moment of like, oh my God, I did it. Like, you know,
right.
So it's
and
so
now
refreshing.
That you do it, and people probably are thinking the same way I did it. Like when we look at people that already did it, it looks so easy for them to do it.
Yes.
You know, it's like, oh, like they just did it. Like, it's different for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's obviously probably to some people was easy, but to probably the majority wasn't. And to get to that point, to even have it hitting like publish, it was definitely like a constant like fight, and a lot of letting go of actual responsibilities and like saying like, okay, this week the house is going to look upside down, but Hoyt's getting some.
Yeah, but I'm publishing a book.
I can't do it all.
Where's your book, house? Like, yeah,
exactly. I don't know if my husband and my son would agree so much with all the the positives of it, but hey, now they're happy that they're
exactly. Oh, I am sure they're like thrilled for you.
I think they're happy that I'm not saying that I'm going to do something one more year and not doing it.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I totally hear you. I feel like I've been like that with I was like that with this podcast. So like, I want to do a podcast. I'd be like, just do a podcast. I remember my brother even got me a microphone and I'm like,
oh my gosh. That's
like,
so
and then I was like, what am I going to use this for? He's like, the podcast you're always talking, like, oh yeah. And then like 5 years later, I finally come around to it.
I know. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you finally did it. She just stop. They think I'm probably going to stop talking about it. And it's the worst. Now I'm just getting stop talking about it.
Yeah. Now it's like, it's book 2, it's book 3. It's like, this, what's next? Da, da, da. So obviously this book does end on a cliffhanger. And you're imagining, like 4 books in the series. Do you have a date of when book 2 is going to come out, or am I putting pressure on you?
Oh, the amount of questions I've got already. Okay, I'm like
adding.
No, I love hearing, just because it makes me like, do people actually like it that much that they would read more? It still shocks me to the core, like, honestly, because I never could have ever imagined not just writing the book, but that people will read the book, like the book, and now ask me for more of the book. It's incredible. So I obviously want to hear that, but I can't come up with it like a random date.
Of course, 100%. Yeah.
The book is very much in the works. It's like I'm in the, pretty close to like 60 to 70% written, at least the first draft, and know where things are going and everything like that. But just because of learning so much about this publishing side, I don't want to come up with a day and then I'm like, oh, I didn't give enough time for this thing and then for that thing. You know what I mean? Because I'm still learning. I think if I had help with that part, I think I would be less scared to just come up with it the wrong day. But now I'm like, I don't know when it's too soon, when it's too late yet. I have to do more research on like, what do people do? How far up front do I need? How much time do I need to, because this time I want to do it right.
Totally. Yeah. It's so hard for me not to be like, but when do you think? You know what I mean?
But I will say this. I will start releasing a lot of things about it once it's, once I'm confident with where the story is at. I will start giving some hints and things like that so people can look out for that, because they will at least start to figure out like, where did Iris go? And
awesome, because we need to know. I mean, like, again, I don't want to give any spoilers away, but there's a lot of questions that are unanswered in book 1, so that's why I'm kind of like, well, when do these questions get answered? I'm waiting.
You guys will get your answers. Okay, good. Not all in a silver play on the first chapter of the second book.
True.
So I'm just giving that warning out there,
which that's probably smart. Yeah.
But you will get answers, and Iris will get answers, It's that's what I tell people, and they're like, you didn't give me. I'm like, she doesn't have the answers, you guys. I can't give you what she doesn't have. She's looking for answers. Once she gets it, you'll get it.
Right. Yeah.
It's not like she just opened a book and here's, the whole how to deal with a magical prism.
Exactly. Yeah, there's no you have to wait until Iris gets her answers first. Yeah, no. Right. It makes some complete logical sense.
I wasn't holding the answers just to be me, I promise. Yeah. It's funny because really writing it, at least for me, it felt like they had their own lives and they do their own thing and they just, I'm like, oh, you guys doing this today? I didn't know. Nobody told me. I wasn't prepared to write this scene.
Yeah.
You know, like, hold on.
I've just created you entirely from scratch.
Exactly.
When did you decide this? Yeah.
It's like having a child and your child just like opens up their mouth all of a sudden and just say something you didn't teach them. It's like, who are you? Like, where'd you come from?
Yeah.
You know?
Oh my God.
It's exactly how it felt. So it's like, you know, so much of it. I'm like, I'm sorry. I didn't do it.
Yeah.
They did it. Don't blame me.
Totally. Well, Blair, tell us where we can find you on Instagram or where. I don't even know what people are doing with social media these days, but you know, all of the
so
where can we follow you?
In case I'm outdated by the point this podcast comes out, just go to my website. I think there it should point you to everything. It's just blairshadows.com. There, hopefully I will have my life together enough that you can go there and find everything you need. I know there is enough there already that hopefully can pinpoint you to the right locations on the web, but it's definitely something to figure out. So if there is another social media that I don't know, please come tell me that I should be there, because I feel like they're popping up right and left nowadays and I cannot keep up with this.
Yeah, it's been so interesting because, like, you know, it's like, oh, you need social media to market yourself, and like you are on Instagram and like I follow your account.
Basics, I feel
like lately, I mean, I feel like literally yesterday I was talking with someone. They're like, "Oh, if you want to follow us on Instagram, but are we going to be on Instagram anymore?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Are we?" Like,
I know.
I've been saying follow me on Instagram for like 10 years.
I know. Please, if we have to go somewhere, just move everything like with one button to the whatever we have to go, because I can't do this like. You know, I'm just starting there, you know, like don't tell me that whatever I'm doing is already like, you know, that happened with TikTok of like, almost disappearing. I'm like, wait, I just got there.
I know. It's like,
where are we going?
I just learned what a stitch was.
Exactly.
And now, like,
don't start bringing up a lot of terms, because I won't even say that I know all of them.
I literally just don't know. I don't know what I just said, to be honest with you. I'm like still kind of like, did I say it right?
Exactly. So let's not go too far, but I like literally just got a few people, you know, replying to me, talking to me there. Don't just like tell me, but there are appearing. And if you see my name in some of them, it's just because I saved the name there, so I don't lose it. But I do not know how to use them yet.
Listen, we're all in the same boat. You should just give your house address and like your phone number, and just be like, "Listen, here's my home address."
Like I was reading this book, this memoir, and the woman talking to me how it was really funny. I think it was probably like, my guess, like the 70s or 80s, and she's like this famous author. And she's talking about it's like a memoir the whole time about how much time she needs to dedicate in a day to reply to letters.
Wow.
I was like, what? Like, that was so like not something that, you know, that I could even like think about, that's what they had to deal with not that long ago. And it's just so funny. I'm like, oh yeah, so they still had to deal with emails. You know what I mean? It's like,
oh, totally.
But they actually have to go to the post office and wait for a reply and pay for stamps.
And like hold a pen and like, God, that must like, like we think we have it bad. We could just do like do on our phone.
We're just like with copy and paste.
They had to like come up with words and stuff and have good handwriting and like,
no, you know, nothing to be, you know, checked for them. No grammar, nothing.
Like there's no like autocorrect and things like that. Right. So that's so funny. Yeah. Well, I just want to say congratulations to you. I really enjoyed reading the book and I can't wait for the next one.
Well, thank you so much. It was so nice talking to you.
If you like today's episode and want to support the podcast, be sure to leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts, whether it's on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, or you can check out the show page at buymeacoffee.com. And if you didn't like today's episode, why are you still here? Too Stupid to Live is part of the Culture Media Network. Thank you so much for listening and have a sizzling rest of your day.